everyone, and thank you for coming to today's Play Attention webinar. I truly appreciate all of you taking some time out today to learn a little bit more about Play Attention Ilab. A couple of things I want to mention before we get started. One is that we are recording this event, so if there are any other staff members who couldn't attend the live event, don't worry, you'll be able to share the webinar recording with them after this webinar. Also, if at any time you do have questions, please type your questions in the Q&A box found at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. That way I'll be able to address your questions as we proceed through. And please do ask your questions because your questions truly do enhance everyone's experience. Okay, we are going to be talking today about Play Attention Ilab. Ilab is a fantastic tool that you can incorporate into your practice that will allow you to work with small groups or even offer your clients distance training. Now, I want you to keep in mind that we're not going to go through all the particular features of the Play Attention system itself. So if you have not yet started Play Attention, because we have a mixed group here, we have some clients who are current clients and they already use Play Attention in their center or their practice or their schools. And we have others who are looking at starting their Play Attention program. So if you have not yet attended one of our Play Attention webinars that are our general information webinars, that webinar goes more into Play Attention's educational foundation. It will show you the different cognitive skill areas that we address, those areas that are necessary for strong executive function. We talk about our full behavior shaping program. So you really get to know the system a little bit more. So if you would like to attend one of those webinars, make certain you go to our website at playattention.com and click on the webinars tab. And the live webinar, it says live webinar, you'll click on that and then you'll see the speed webinar information. So if you need general information on how Play Attention works and what's included in your package, that's a great webinar. Now, if you can't attend the live event for another webinar, just let me know and I'd be happy to send you one of our previously recorded webinars so you have all of the information you need. So again, today we're not going to go through how Play Attention works and what's included. We're going to be talking about how you can incorporate Play Attention Ilab to offer your clients even more, okay? All right, we are going to be talking about Play Attention Ilab. And again, I mentioned that what Ilab allows you to do is work with small groups or offer distance training. Now, when you start with the Play Attention professional system, that's for those of you who would like to work with clients on a one-to-one type of tutoring situation or counseling situation. So if you are planning to incorporate one-on-one training, then the Play Attention professional system is where you would start. However, as we see many of our current clients here today, we know that many times you may start with that one-on-one training, but then you're really ready to start expanding and work with small groups instead of just one-on-one. So this is what Ilab will allow you to do. So we're going to review many of the features that are found in Play Attention Ilab so you can get a better idea of how this system will allow you to really maximize everyone's session during a group setting and how you can easily manage right from one computer. You can easily manage a small group or a large group of students at one time. The Play Attention Ilab features include real-time data. So you're going to see real-time data streaming. You're going to have special Ilab intelligence. And I'm just going to read the overview and then we're going to look at each of these features individually. You'll be able to view games in real time. You'll have distance learning opportunities, full curriculum control for every single client, because as you know, what we like to really focus on when we're doing Play Attention training is customizing everyone's plan. And so you can do that with Ilab as well. You're going to have text chat ability, voice chat ability, and even video conferencing. And video conferencing really comes in handy when you're doing that distance training. So if you have a client who lives 1,500 miles away and can't come to your center for that training session, they can log in as long as they have an Ilab system at home or in their office. They can log in right from their home or office, and you'll be able to have video conferencing with them and do a live session. Okay. So let's look at each of these features a little bit closer. This is your Ilab viewer. So everything that I'm going to show you upcoming on these next few slides, this is exactly what your computer screen is going to look like when you are sitting at what we call the master coaching system. Okay, so you are going to have one computer that's designated as your master coaching computer. And this is where you are going to sit and you are going to be able to see all of these features that I'm going to show you right now. This is what you would see during a session. Now, keep in mind, when you are at that master computer watching all of your students, you are not going to have the body wave armband on your computer, but every single one of your clients will be sitting at what we call the student station. And each student station will not only have the Play Attention Ilab software, which includes all of those cognitive skill activities that we address, the full behavior shaping, everything you know about Play Attention will be included on their computer. And each and every one of your students or clients have on the body wave armband. So it is important that everyone understands that all of your clients need to be wearing the body wave armband during their session. Because remember, all of the activities are brain enabled. They're controlling all of the cognitive exercises by their mind or by their attention alone. So every student station comes with not only the cognitive training software and the behavior shaping, but also the body wave armband. Okay? All right, so here's what you're going to see when you first log into your session as coach. You are going to see each and every one of your students pop up on your screen who have logged in for that session. Now, these students may be sitting right in the same room with you, or let's say maybe the first three students, John and Jenny and Susie, maybe those three students are sitting in your center with you. But Trey here on the end, he's 1,500 miles away. But still, as soon as he logs into his Play Attention session, you're going to see him on your screen so he can be part of that session from a distance. So first, you're going to see all of your students as they log in. Then you're going to be able to see lots of live streaming data. Now, you have the option when you are looking at the students who are logged in. So in this particular session, you'll see that Kim is logged in and John is logged in. Now, you notice that Kim has a video icon here. So I can actually click on that video and it allows me to have access to her camera so I can now have live video feed of her session. So that means that as she's going through the process of the Play Attention session, I can actually watch her in real time, just like she's sitting in the room with me. So I might turn that on if she's at a distance, but leave John's camera off because I can see him. He's sitting right here in the office with me. So that's another great feature. So even though your students may not be right there, you can watch them the entire session. You're also going to receive real-time Ilab alerts during the session. You're going to notice that many of these features we have taken into account that you are really busy. You have lots of students, you have lots of clients who are in your sessions. So we want to streamline the process and make everything as easy as possible. So that's why Sheer Genius is going to give you real-time iLab events. And you can turn this feature on so you can see it, or you can hide it. You can bring it up just when you need it. But you will have these running alerts. And what these alerts tell you special things that are occurring during the session that you should address, or that you should at the very least know about. So you see here, I got an alert about Susie, because Susie is currently working on a specific activity, and she has been paying attention for 83% of the time. That is fantastic. So I should really positively reinforce Susie for doing a good job. This one says that Jenny was flagged because she was idle for more than 3 minutes. What that means is that Jenny has not selected any games. So basically, she's been sitting there doing nothing for 3 minutes. So then I know that it's really important that I immediately contact her and remind her that it's time to start the next activity. So you see here that we are also alerted when Susie started a new activity. So it's really important that you not only can see your students, but you can see specific areas that you may need to address that you might not see right away, but Sheer Genius sees it and keeps you updated as to what you need to address. Once a student is flagged, that means that there is an alert on your screen that means you need to address that particular individual. So when you see a flag on your student, then you can look at those live alerts, or you can just quickly click on this little tab to where it says flagged students. So for example, I may have 8 students all in my session. So I see 8 different avatars here. So I may have 8 students, but 2 of them are flagged. And I want to quickly see why they were flagged. What do I need to address? So I can simply click on that tab. And when I go to that tab, it tells me exactly why they were flagged. And then once I address it, then I can actually unflag them. So just another easy way to address your students right away, even though you're working with multiple students during a given session. Then, as we mentioned earlier, you're able to see real-time streaming data throughout your session. So you see here, we're looking at Kim on our screen, and you see all of her live streaming data. Now, this data is going to be constantly updated for me during the Play Attention session. So right here at this point, you see she's playing Attention Stamina Bronze. She is currently playing it because I have that green arrow. It also tells me that she is 92% attentive, so she's doing really well. So I get all of that real-time streaming data the entire time. So a lot of times when I'm working with students in an iLab setting, I will stay primarily at this screen so I can see and monitor everyone's real-time data all at one time. Now, you notice that she's 92% attentive. If she ever falls below 75% attention level, that bar will actually move red. So it gives me an alert again as to when she's maybe falling a little bit below and I need to address her. I can also look a little bit further into each individual streaming data. So let's say I don't want to see all of my students at one time. I really want to focus just on Susie's live data at that particular time. So what I'll do is I will actually click on Susie from my main screen, and that will open a screen just for her. So I can just look at her particular streaming data at that time. And you see that not only does it tell me her attention level, so I can see that she's been working for for just 36 seconds on this activity, but she's 86% attentive so far. And she's playing Attention Stamina Bronze. You see that right here. I get a graph that's going to show me her live streaming data regarding her attention. And all of that supplemental information I receive down here. So I'll be able to see how many bonuses she's received, if there are bonuses in that activity. I'll be able to see how many impulsive strikes she's had so far, how many distractors she dealt with correctly or incorrectly. So all of that data that we store within each individual play attention game, you're going to see that data here as it happens. I can also turn on the behavior shaping program. Now, for those of you who are currently using Play Attention, or perhaps you've been looking into Play Attention and you know that not only do we incorporate that real-time feedback with specific cognitive skills, but we also incorporate behavior shaping, where we're going to be tracking behaviors, those self-distracting behaviors like fidgeting or nail biting or chewing on their shirts. We're going to be tracking all of that behavior data, and in order to actually set behavioral objectives later on in the program. So if you are working with an individual, and here we've decided to work with John on behavior shaping. Now, when you're in a lab type setting, and you may have, let's say, 5 to 10 students during your session, you might not be able to do all 10 students on their behavior shaping, right? Because that would be hard to keep up with all of that data. So usually what our professionals do, they'll choose one of the students to actually track that data and work with them very closely on behavior shaping. And then they'll rotate those students throughout the week so that they are able to work on behavior shaping for those students who need that. But just know that even though you're not working in a one-to-one situation anymore, you're offering small group training, you can still track behaviors, put all of their behavior data in their Play Attention profile so that Sheer Genius can still set those behavioral objectives as you move through the program. Also, let's say that you get really busy during a session and you have to address another student and you weren't able to get back to your master computer and input that behavior data for John. That's okay. You have the opportunity after the session is over to edit the behavior data and input any of the behaviors that you may not have been able to input during a session. So you have that ability as well. You can always go back into the data files and you can edit any information that you weren't able to update during a live session. You also have many different ways to communicate with your students. As I mentioned, some of you might have multiple students in your specific office. However, some of you may be working with a combination of those in your office and those that are thousands of miles away. So there are a few different options on how to communicate with those individuals. Every single person's file will have the different means of communication. One is, of course, you can just send them a text chat. So you see right here where I am texting and chatting with John. And you see that when we're texting, his text chat actually pops up on my screen, and I can minimize it as well and just give him some reinforcement or some instruction via text. I can also do an audio call with him. So if you set your students up with headphones and mics, you can select the call feature and you can actually call them, or they can call you if they have a question. So that's another great way. So sometimes if you have a really large group that you're working with, that's really nice to do. So then you don't have to get up and actually walk around too much and disturb other students. You can just have a private talk with just that individual. Maria asks, do you have the opportunity to send a text chat to the whole group at one time? You do, Maria. That's a really good question. When you are looking at those iLab events, you actually have the opportunity to send what we call a broadcast text. So that will allow you to send a text to everyone. Good luck on your session today, or just keep in mind, session ends in 5 minutes. If you need to give them some heads up or everyone's doing a great job, You just type in that text and hit broadcast, and it will go to everyone in your session. So then again, you can send an audio chat. Now, I know that I mentioned that you can call them or they can call you. And so you see here, my student John is calling me, and I can opt to answer that call at that moment. But if I'm really busy and I'm not able to address that call right at that moment, I can reject it, and he'll get a message that I'll get back to him in just a few minutes. Also, you have the opportunity to do video chat. So here's an example of what the video chat would look like. So this is my coach here, and my coach actually called me via video chat. And so you see that you get a larger screen, and you'll actually do a live video chat with your student at that time. Now, you do have the opportunity to block your students from calling you. So I know that some of you are thinking, I don't know if I want my students to have that opportunity to constantly call me, because some of your students may be a little bit impulsive, and they might not be able to call you at specific times or the appropriate time. Or perhaps you only want to give your student who's working from a distance that ability to give you a call during a session. So if you do not want a particular student to call you during a session, then you're able to actually block the calls so that they can still communicate with you and ask for help via text, but they won't be able to send you a call, a live call. All right, let's talk about your investment and your return on investment when looking at setting up Play Attention iLab. Every iLab needs the following. So when you're setting up your Play Attention iLab, you need that iLab license key with the coach software, okay? So this is the coaching software that we've been looking at together here today. This is the software that allows you to set up all the curriculum control. You're able to see all of your students' live streaming data. Everything we've looked at so far is the coaching software. It gives you the iLab license key, which allows you to unlock your user licenses. So every single student station that you have in your lab will have an unlimited user license, meaning there's no limit. You can enroll as many students into your program that you need to, okay? So you receive that license with all the iLab features and your coaching software. That is $399. Your first student station. Now remember, we talked about the student stations. Every student station needs the full Play Attention program. So remember, that includes your body wave armband. So it includes the full neurocognitive training. So you all have this body wave armband at every student station. Because remember, that's what's monitoring brain activity that tells us how attentive they are. You have the full cognitive training software where we're working on all of those cognitive skills that support strong executive function. And you have the full behavior shaping program. Okay, so that's on every single student station. Your first student station is $24.95. And then each additional student station in your iLab comes down to $19.95. So we give you a significant discount once you start your iLab and you're setting up multiple students. I should mention as well that you will also receive an iLab tutorial. So remember, everyone here, whether you're a professional with a small group or you're a professional with lots and lots of students in your setting, you are going to have an iLab tutorial with your personal executive function coach. You're all assigned that personal executive function coach to help you every step of the way. So if you're a current client, you've already gone through the standard Play Attention tutorial to learn about all of the Play Attention features. Now with iLab, when you upgrade to your iLab, you will also have that iLab tutorial. Let's look at your return on investment. This is just an example. You could set up an iLab with 4 students. You could set up an iLab with 6 students. You could set up an iLab with 7 students. This is just an example of what an iLab would look like, what your investment would look like if you were to set up an iLab where you are one coach working with multiple clients, and you are one coach working with 4 students during a given session. If this is the scenario, you would need 5 computers, because remember, you need 1 computer for each student, and then you as coach will need a computer. You'll need the iLab license key, which is $399. You'll need your first student station for $24.95. And then you would need 3 additional iLab student stations for $19.95. So this right here, the 1 student station at $24.95, and then the 3 additional iLab stations for $19.95 a piece, that equals 4. So that allows you to work with 4 students at one time. Your total investment at that point would be $8,879. Now let's look at what that looks like on an average return on your investment. If you're working with 4 students per session and you have 5 separate sessions per day, that means you're working with group A from 9 to 10. You're working with group B from 10:30 to 11:30. So you have 5 different Play Attention iLab sessions throughout the day. That means if you do that, you're going to see 20 students a day. So all of my current clients who are here today, think about right now, if you only have 1 professional system, you're working one-on-one, so maybe you're reaching anywhere between 5 or 10 students a day. However, with iLab, you're going to be able to double that, or maybe even more than double what you're currently doing. On average, and this is different for everyone, but if we look down average, the average session per student is $50, okay? So I put in $50 per session, but I also gave you a $35 option. Now, some of you are in areas or you have a special clinical office that you may be charging more. So this is just an average that I'm giving you. You, of course, are in charge of your fee structure. So this is just an example. If you're doing $50 per student per session, that means you are bringing in $1,000 a day. If you do even the lower price point, that means with 4 students per session, 5 separate sessions a day, you're going to bring in $700 per day. Now let's think about each week, what that equals. Because remember, you're going to have to meet with each group twice per week, because on average, you want everyone to be working at least twice per week so that they're getting in that hour per week, right? You want them on the Play Attention software itself for a full hour. So usually our professionals are working with each student twice per week, okay? So if you look at that, and if you're doing the higher price point at $50 per session, you're looking at about $4,000 per week. Even if you're doing the lower price point, you're going to be able to bring in $2,800 per week. So when you're looking at your return on investment, you can see that just starting with 4 clients and setting up your Play Attention iLab, you are going to more than cover the cost of your Play Attention iLab in your very first month, okay? Do any of you have questions so far? This has been a quiet group so far. All right, just remember, you do have the ability to ask questions, so please do ask your questions as we're proceeding through. So again, here are all the features that you're going to receive in Play Attention iLab. You have that real-time data streaming. You have iLab intelligence that will flag your students for you. You're able to watch them in real time. You have distance learning opportunities. You have full curriculum control and many different ways to communicate with your students, whether it's text, voice, or video. All right, let me go ahead and help you think about how you can get started. Now, if you have more questions and you really want to talk to us about how to either start your Play Attention iLab or expand your current Play Attention program into a Play Attention iLab or a larger iLab, you can schedule a consultation with us. Now, our professional development team does have a special calendar online, and I can share that with you at the end of the webinar. I'll actually put that link in the email follow-up. And that email follow-up will have the link to today's recording, and then it will also have a link to our professional development team's calendar, so that you'll be able to click that link and register yourself for a one-on-one professional consult so we can talk about your business needs particularly.